Hello, I'm Mark Hammett, minister of the Weber Road Church of Christ in beautiful Corpus Christi, Texas. I want to make a personal invitation from our church family for you to visit with us if you're ever in Corpus Christi on vacation, traveling through. If you're in some kind of training, we'd love to have you visit with us at Weber Road. If you live in our community, we'd like to invite you to visit with us as often as you can. If you have any questions about the church or about God's Word especially, we'd like to be able to answer those to the best of our ability. So visit with us at the Weber Road Church of Christ. It's good to have you join me for this daily devotional and Bible reading. And for our Bible reading in just a few moments, I hope you'll turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, we'll be reading from the English Standard Version, although any version will do. You know, there was a 18th century poet named William Coleridge. He had great literary gifts. He was expected to accomplish so much in his life. And when you think about accomplishments, first of all, you think about those athletes that have the rare gifts of athleticism. And those athletes, if you know much about sports, that although they have those gifts of athleticism, do very little to work on their fundamentals and the skills that they have. They rely on their athleticism. And very few of those individuals ever are memorable for a long period of time. You consider those who perhaps come from wealthy families, a wealthy son or daughter, and they receive a great amount of money from a father or grandfather, yet instead of working hard to continue to be successful in whatever their parent or their grandparent was successful in, they take it for granted. They don't work very hard, and they can squander away all of that wealth. You know, there are many examples, and this William Coleridge is an example of that. William Barclay, the commentator, said that Coleridge is the supreme example of tragedy of no discipline. Never did so great a mind produce so little. He left Cambridge University to join the army, and he left the army because he simply couldn't rub down a horse correctly. He returned to Oxford and left without a degree. He began a paper called The Watchman, which lived for 10 numbers and then died. It's been said of him, he lost himself in vision of work to be done, that always remained to be done. Coleridge had every poetic gift but one, the gift of sustained and concentrated effort. In his head and in his mind, he had all kinds of books. He said they were completed, saved for transcription. But the books were never composed outside of his mind, because he would not face the discipline of sitting down and writing them out. No one ever reached any eminence. No one, having reached it, ever maintained it without great discipline. Consider that when we think about the discipline it takes to grow as a Christian, to be the faithful Christian God expects for you to be. God expects discipline. He expects diligence. He expects commitment and training. And I hope that through our series of Bible readings and devotionals, you're encouraged to have that discipline God expects for you to have and continue to grow in your Christian life. Let's go ahead and read from 1 Corinthians chapter 10. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, we'll start in verse 1. Paul said, "For I want you to know, brothers, that our fathers were all under the cloud, and all passed through the sea. And all were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. And all ate the same spiritual food, and all drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank from the spiritual rock that followed them, and the rock was Christ. Nevertheless, with most of them God was not pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now these things took place as examples for us, that we might not desire evil as they did. Do not be idolaters, as some of them were. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. We must not indulge in sexual immorality, as some of them did. and 23,000 fell in a single day. We must not put Christ to the test, as some of them did, and were destroyed by serpents, nor grumble, as some of them did, and were destroyed by the destroyer. Now these things happened to them as an example, but they were written down for our instruction, on whom the end of the ages has come. Therefore, let anyone who thinks he stands take heed lest he fall. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and He will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation He will also provide a way of escape, that you may be able to endure it. Therefore, my beloved, flee from idolatry. It's a great passage reminding us of the Old Testament example of the children of Israel and the example they give to us, the warning they give to us, the encouragement they give to us to continue to be faithful to God and have that self-discipline in our lives. Continue to read God's Word, continue to pray to God, and may the Lord bless you richly as you seek to follow His will.